reading friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Melanie. I am both excited and dreading this one because today we have finally my book review on Midnight Sun by Stephenie Meyer. I do have to say, I started reading this book on its release date, so on August 4th, and 13 days later, I am finally done with this book, and I am free, you guys. Midnight Sun is technically the 5th installment in the Twilight series, although it technically ended back in 2008, but we finally got the book we were all screaming, yelling, wanting, and crying for. I was over the moon excited for this book. I grew up as a Twihard. I have all the books, I have all the movies in DVD. I went to the premieres for the movies. I got the last 2 books on the release dates. I have signed merch. So I very much grew up with this fandom. I do have to warn you, this may turn into a rant halfway through because there is a lot to say about this book. If you are not subscribed, you can subscribe down below. You can follow me on Twitter, Goodreads, and on Instagram to keep up with me and my reading journey. Now, as I stated before, Midnight Sun is Twilight, but from Edward's perspective. Twilight follows Bella Swan, who is a teenager, recently moving into Forks, Washington to live with her dad. She hasn't been in this town for the longest time now. Moving into this new town and starting from scratch, starting a new high school is gonna be challenging for her, especially because she does not expect to end up falling with a vampire and be thrust into this world full of supernatural creatures. And when I say full of supernatural creatures, I really just mean vampires and werewolves. Personally, whilst I was reading Midnight Sun, it came to me very suddenly that this book was the prime example of the craft of telling instead of showing. That might have something to do with the fact that all of what is happening in this book is mostly internal. We are hearing everything from Edward's head and what he is picking up from other people, or what in Bella's instance he is not picking up. And the writing felt kind of lazy at times because it was, again, mostly internal, and I feel sometimes it was hard to grasp the surrounding and imagine exactly where we were. I know I'm not the only one that feels this way about the telling instead of showing. Literally this morning as I was waking up, because I did finish this book last night at midnight, very fitting. Right as I woke up and I started getting ready, I was watching Amanda's video, Ginger Snap Reads. She thought the same thing, that it felt very much telling in several aspects of the book, especially with the whole Hades Persephone thing that the book was trying to chase after with the pomegranate seeds. Don't even get me started on that one. And I found myself kind of running into that wall over and over again. Edward was mentioning that Jasper had no control, or that Rosalie was very much vain and that she was jealous, and I just wish those things would have been shown instead of told. I do think that with the length of this book being 658 pages, a lot of what was included in this book could have been scratched because it got incredibly repetitive at times, and instead Stephenie Meyer could have added some aspects of, again, showing. This book is a YA, and I typically do read a lot of YA even though I am an adult now, but I cannot let go. I am sure I will let go at some point, but not as of now. This book might have worked in 2005, but I don't think it works in 2020 anymore. It had a lot of odd phrasing and a lot of odd quotes. There was one quote in the book that felt incredibly out of place, and I'm going to actually look it up because when I read it, I was like, I cannot picture Edward Cullen saying this. Bella never wore makeup, nor should she. The cosmetics industry made billions of dollars a year from women who were trying to attain skin like hers. Could you imagine a 100-year-old vampire talking about the cosmetic industry? Because I personally can't. This book was moderately fast-paced. It was not slow-paced in the slightest, but it was also not as fast-paced as Twilight felt. Regarding the romance specifically, in this book I can understand a lot more why Edward fell for Bella and vice versa. Twilight, it just felt very insta-lovey and nonsensical at times. I think the writing overall was just very inconsistent. There were scenes that I loved. One of my favorite scenes in the book had nothing to do with the romance, and it was that scene in which Edward and Emmett are trying to push Ben into asking Angela out. And then of course scenes with Edward and and then every single scene with the Cullens. I found those scenes were my favorites, so really nothing revolutionary revolving around the main romance, which is technically the whole plot of the story. Those parts I liked, but then everything else was just boring and draggy. The story was also very repetitive. There were certain sections and certain quotes that would come back up. I know Edward wants to eat Bella, and I know her skin is translucent, and I know she's a white piece of bagel. I don't need to be reminded of it every single time I turn a page. And don't get me wrong, this writing felt 10 times better than the original Twilight book, but that still doesn't mean that it's great by any means. I feel the story works a lot better from Edward's point of view because it's a lot more objective. Perhaps if it would have been dual point of view, both from Edward and Bella, perhaps the book would have been a lot more interesting. The writing for Midnight Sun is slightly better than Twilight. It's still not that great of a book, so perhaps if you merge the two, it would find a better balance of storyline and plot. Another thing was the conflict. I feel the conflict worked a lot better in Midnight Sun than it did in Twilight, particularly with Edward as a protagonist, so to call him. The stakes are higher for him, I feel, than for Bella. He could have killed Bella and they could have been exposed. He would have broken the treaty. The whole vampire race would have been exposed, and then the Volturi would have came in, and that would have been a whole disaster, and it would have just raged war with everyone. Going more into the characters of Bella and Edward, Edward in this book was very cocky. He was very condescending. He was very creepy too, which, looking at it, I don't know how anyone could find a vampire staring at you in the middle of the night romantic. Edward overall was just possessive and very dramatic and continuously infantilizes Bella throughout the entire book. It's like he thinks Bella is incapable of even lifting a cup of water to drink something. We get it, you're a vampire, you're superior, okay. But how insignificant really is the human race to you for you to call everyone children and still think of Bella as a child but love her at the same time? It was like Edward thought himself above absolutely everyone and anything. We did see character development because towards the end he wasn't really behaving like it. Still certain aspects of it, like the possessiveness or that contempt, it still kept coming through. And Bella, on the flip side, Bella literally has absolutely no personality. She is the epitome of the stereotypical YA female protagonist. I am not like other girls because I like classical music and I'm clumsy and I don't like sports. No. And the whole Edward infantilizing Bella throughout the book is earned too. It's not like it comes out of nowhere. Bella behaves like a child for a lot of the book, and she stomps and she scowls and she cries when she doesn't want to go to prom because she doesn't dance. Because she's not getting her way and because she's not getting what she wants, she'll start almost throwing a tantrum for it, including getting or not getting Edward or Edward not sticking around. This also pissed me off, and I don't know if this is the same in Twilight because I don't remember it, where Edward asks Bella what she wants to do after graduating high school. And her response is, I would have loved to work as like a publisher or as an editor in a publishing house, but I feel that's too ambitious, so I'm just going to teach writing in community college. What? Bella literally has absolutely no ambition, and I don't see Bella wanting anything in life beside Edward. Bella is just in this story as a love interest. Her sole purpose of existence, again, is to suck his vampire dick. The representation in this book was also horrible with the Quileute Tribe. I don't think they're ever done any justice in any of these books. It seriously drives me crazy that the only times where the tribe is mentioned throughout Midnight Sun is when Edward is thinking about killing them. Edward was literally talking about annihilating every single person in this tribe, and if we completely took away the Quileute Tribe from this book because it does them no justice, it's highly disrespectful, it would literally change absolutely nothing from the book. You could have just had a regular pack of werewolves and it would have been the same. There was no need for it to be a tribe. On the flip side, something that surprised me with this book was the fact that the first time that Edward reads Jacob's mind, he is pleasantly surprised by it, and it's almost comforting. I have the quote right here, and it says, "There was something very engaging about Jacob Black's mind, pure and open. His was the rare kind of mind that was easy to be inside." And I think if it were not for Bella, perhaps Edward and Jacob could have been friends, but apparently the world is not ready for that. Overall, I do think that Midnight Sun is slightly better than Twilight. I think this book did a better better job at giving all of these characters more personality and all of these situations that happen in the book a lot more context, because we are getting a more insider's perspective. I also personally loved all of the scenes with the Cullens. I think those were, to me, the most appealing. Those added scenes really worked and added even more to the story, and I wished I would have gotten more of those. A lot of this book was repetitive, of course, because we were getting the same scenes from Twilight. I wish we would have gotten more of that Cullen clan, the Nally clan type scenes. From the baseball scene up to the end of the book, I think that's where it got more exciting, but even then, I was just so fed up with the book and I wanted to finish it already that I just skimmed through that whole last section of the book because I couldn't handle it anymore. But that did feel exciting in the baseball scene. The whole Jasper shielding everyone, protecting them was really interesting. I really liked that. Was not expecting it. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars, and I honestly would have rated it a 1. But there were certain aspects of the book that I liked, mainly the sibling family bond that all of the Cullens have. Angela was my favorite character in this book. Even though she's barely there. So a point for Angela. If you're a Twihard like me and you're interested in seeing where this book goes, I would mainly recommend it. If you're Team Edward, then perhaps this book would appeal to you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I honestly pulled through for you guys to bring you all this review because I thought about DNFing this book so many times. It's unreal. If it were not for the support of Twitter, the support of reading sprints, and my friends, I would not have finished this book. So I am here. I did it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up because honestly, this was a lot of hard work to get through this book. You can subscribe down below for more bookish content. If you have read this book, let me know what you thought down below. Again, if you do not follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Goodreads, I will leave all those links down below for you friends. I love you guys. Thank you for sticking around this video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye guys.